the non-habitual resident tax regime has attracted scores of people. I think we have more than 30,000 people benefiting from this regime. So what is it really? To be eligible, you don't need much. You just need to not having been a resident of Portugal in the last 5 years, meaning that even a Portuguese that has lived abroad is eligible. Okay. So what are the benefits of being an NHR?
Yeah.
The first big benefit, easily understandable, is that in principle, income sourced abroad does not pay tax in Portugal. You might pay abroad some taxes, but not in Portugal. And since Portugal has entered a lot of double taxation treaties with most of the countries, it means that the taxes that you pay on the country of source will be reduced. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you have shares from Apple. Now, Apple makes iPhones, okay?
Yeah.
So if you live in the United States, in principle, you pay 30% personal income tax on that income, on the dividends that you get from these shares, okay? But if you live in Portugal and you declare to the bank that is negotiating with your shares that you are a Portuguese tax resident, the United States can only tax 15%, and Portugal will tax 0%. The same for dividends in France or in Belgium. It's around the same rate, 30%, and the tax treaty says the France or Belgium can only withhold 15%. So your taxation will be reduced by half in any case. Okay, and a lot of people that have money, well, they don't live on salaries, they get dividends. And this can apply also to the dividends of your corporation, your family office, your family business that is located in the Netherlands or in Italy or in France or wherever it is. Okay, this is the first thing. So
this is about passive income, huh? We were talking
passive
about
income,
passive income.
dividends, royalties, and interests. Okay. You can lend money to your company, get the interest, and pay 0 tax in Portugal on those interests. You can. Let's say that you are a fashion designer and that you were living, let's say, in Belgium, okay? And you are getting a salary that is highly taxed at progressive rates in Belgium. And you come to Portugal instead of getting salaries, you start receiving royalties. Royalties have a reduced rate from 10 to 15%. I think in the case of United States, it's even less. And you will pay 0 in Portugal. So for this passive income, in most of the cases, you'll pay half what you are paying now. Okay, so this is very enticing if you live on passive income. Capital gains is not so good.
Yeah,
you
sorry.
will pay 20%.
Yeah.
28%. Instead, if there is also a micro, small, or medium enterprise that is located in the European Union, you will benefit from the same 14% that you will pay in Portugal. Okay, I think we forgot to put that on the slide, but those are the exceptional cases. Of course, if it is a corporation that is listed on the stock market, it will be 28%. Considering if you are selling a property and getting 50,000 euros, I'm thinking if you are earning 500,000 or 1 million euros. In those cases, your taxation will be 24%. Unless, of course, it is your personal residence in which you can reinvest and pay 0. Okay. So a lot of you that are considering coming to Portugal have some kind of activity. You are either self-employed or you work for a corporation. It can be even your corporation. Okay, so Portugal has drawn a list of professions that we believe are from high added activities. This list is very curious because you can find doctors and engineers, you can find lawyers, so lawyers don't have the benefit, but you can find also cooks, and you can find artists, okay? So for these people, if they are working for a company and getting a salary, there will be a flat rate of 20% personal income tax. Okay, it is rather good, considering what we pay throughout Europe. Okay, if you are self-employed, you will also pay 20% flat rate, but not on the overall of your income, only on 75%. Well, there are some nuances here, but keep in mind that the taxation for self-employment is somewhere between 15 and 20%. That is the basis. You have to check either the profession that you are doing goes into this list, and also contact some specialized person like me to tell you exactly what to do. And the best thing is that if you work abroad, you even have more benefits. Let me give you 2 examples. Let's say that you are a surgeon, okay? And you live in Portugal, but you do go to the United States, or you go to France, for instance, to work for 2 months in an hospital, making, for instance, cataract surgery to the eyes, okay? You are a Portuguese tax resident. Because of that, you cannot be taxed in France as a French tax resident. You will be treated as a salaried worker, but foreigner. In this case, the amount of money that France can levy is around 20 to 25%. In Portugal, you will pay 0, as long as that income has been taxed in other countries. Okay. Now let's say that you are a DJ, famous DJ. You do Ibiza, you do Bali, you do the Emirates, and all of that. If this work is not done from Portugal, of course, if you are doing a record and residing in Portugal and invoicing from Portugal, you will pay taxes in Portugal at a reduced rate of 15 to 20%. But let's say that you are playing Pasha in Ibiza and you are making a residence there for the summer. Whatever you gain in Spain, you will pay taxes in Spain, I think 20% in Spain, and you will pay 0 in Portugal. But if you work in the UAE, in the Emirates, you will probably pay 0 tax there and 0 tax in Portugal. So and if you go to Bali, I don't know even how much they will charge you. But the thing with the self-employed is that the law does not require that you are actually taxed. It says that the treaty says you could be taxed. See? So for a lot of professions that you are itinerant, like tennis player, Formula 1 driver, Formula E driver, DJ, creative artists, fashion designer, etc., that you are wandering around the world, you can still put an anchor in Portugal and benefit from a very generous regime.
That's a very good news for all the Formula 1 drivers who are listening to us.
Well, there is a better place for Formula 1 drivers. They go to Monaco.
Yeah, I heard about that. So who can apply? I think we already talked about that, but
everyone, everyone that has not been a Portuguese tax resident in the last 5 years.
Okay, so and they have to be there like 6 months.
That is the basic principle. The law says you should be here for 6 months, but what the law wants to say is that it does not want you to be more than 6 years in any other country, because then that country will be your tax residence.
Yes.
So let's take again the example of the DJ or the Formula 1 driver. He's not spending 6 months anywhere. He spends 2 months here, 2 months there. So you have to demonstrate that Portugal is your center of interest, meaning your kids go to school here. You have your primary residence here. You have some kind of business going on here. From the Portuguese point of view, they are not going to be very strict in controlling that. Actually, I can tell this to you privately. Nobody is going to control if you are counting the days. the persons that are going to do that maybe the people in the UK or in France that want you to pay the taxes there. Okay, so it's not the question of Portugal being worried about you being here 180 or 150 days. That will never happen. What happens is that some other countries, their tax authorities can be very aggressive, like in Spain or in the UK, and they will control. For Spain, it's difficult to control because we don't have a land border. So you can drive to Madrid in no time and go back and forth as many as you want. Nobody knows where you are, actually, without controlling your credit cards. But if you go to the UK, since there is an actual physical border and you pass your passport, then they can know if you spend more than 183 days in the UK or not. You see the difference? Within the Schengen area, there is absolutely no possibility of control.
Okay.
In general terms, you should apply the year that you arrive. But let's say that you move to Portugal in December. Yeah. You are going to pay taxes for that year, for let's say 2023, for most of the part in the country where you were living before, because that country will not let go of your taxes. Okay? So in these cases, you can apply until the 31st of March of the next year. Let's say if you arrive during 2023, you can apply until March 24. Okay? But I think the difference between semesters, I think you should split, like first semester you pay wherever you are, second semester you pay here. And sometimes you can arbitrate. Let's say that you are going to sell a company and you want to pay a flat rate of 14% capital gains tax. Maybe you would like to plan your move when to come to Portugal, and probably come to Portugal before you make that sale, depending on the country, of course. Well, the cost of the process is the cost of professional services, because there is nothing that you pay to the government to become a non-habitual resident. First, you become a taxpayer, and then after being a taxpayer, you apply an upgrade to be a non-habitual resident. The process is totally cost-free. What you pay for is for advice. Of course, there is a difference, and there is a range, of course. Let's say that you just have passing the income from one source, your family has a company in Italy, and it pays you dividends. That is an easy tax advice. But now if you tell me, well, my parents have set up a trust in Jersey, and I have an house in LA, in California, and I have also an abode in São Paulo, in Brazil, and I've got an assurance vie La Baloise in Luxembourg. Well, that starts to be complicated. So practically, you pay for the advice. You will have to enroll a chartered accountant as well. I will never advise you to seek legal advice from an accountant, because everybody should do what they are good at.
Yeah.
Even though we work with some very competent accountants, but the thing is, the process in itself, it's free. Unlike the golden visa that is coming to an end, you pay very hefty taxes to the government. It was like the whole process will cost you like 20,000 euros during the 5 years that you took. The non-habitual resident doesn't cost anything. Oh, and there is a plus. After 5 years that you are a lawful tax resident in Portugal, you can apply for citizenship.
Okay.
Right? As long as you can speak some basic Portuguese, which I concede is not so easy, but there are worse languages. There is Croatian and Greek and Russian and Turk and whatever. So compared to those, we are very similar to French. If you can read easily French, you can read Portuguese.
Okay, very clear. So we don't have any price there. We don't it can be from 1,000 to 10,000 euros regarding your situation, the complexity of your situation.
Okay, so social security. Well, that's a tricky issue. I can only speak in very broad terms, but even though it's not as expensive as in France, it's still hefty. Okay, if you are self-employed, if you are employed, if you are a salaried employer, you pay 11% and your boss will pay the rest, which is 23.75. But if you are self-employed and working for someone as an independent, you will pay 21.4 over 70% of your income. But there is a cap. The more you make money, the more, the cap is like 5,000 a month. So if you are a very wealthy person, let's say that you are a famous DJ and you are doing the Mykonos, Ibiza, Sonar things, and you are doing 2-3 million, what you pay in social security is nothing. Especially because when you work abroad, when you go DJing to Ibiza, you won't pay social security in Portugal for those gigs. You only pay for the gigs that you do in Portugal, for the income that you source in Portugal.
Okay, very interesting. This example of DJ remain to coming back, probably dreaming job in another life. About the examples, we give the examples, and with at the end, participant can have this document and have a view on this example. But maybe you want to comment that.
Yeah. The first example, I'm afraid it is not completely correct because as far as I know, in France, the regular tax, if she was living in France, Marie, she would pay 30%.
Yeah.
Probably not in 10,000, but in something substantially above.
Yeah.
Okay. With the double taxation treaty,
yeah,
France is only allowed to ask for 15%, which is the 1,500 you speak here. But in Portugal, she will pay zero. So the taxation is limited to this 1,500 and she gets 8,500 net. Okay, it's correct. It's the slide. I made a mistake because the letters are tiny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joseph is receiving employment income from his company based in France. As the salary is taxed in France, Joseph will not pay taxes in Portugal. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, perfect. And Mark, as an independent contractor, will not pay any tax in Europe.
I forgot to say something. In principle, there are two ways to do this. If he salary from he paid from the company in France, it might be either taxed in France as a foreigner, or taxed in Portugal at the reduced rates if he goes on the list of the added value professions. So this is something to be seen case by case.
Okay.
Either way, we are reducing from the top bracket of 48 to 50% to 20 or 25. So it's 50% gain.
Okay, crystal.
Of Mark. Mark is independent contractor working for some companies.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, this is correct. If he's one of the special list of activities and he's doing this work, let's say he's an architect, okay? And he goes to Spain and he spends like 1 month there in the Costa del Sol designing or following the works of a beautiful villa, and all the work is done there in Spain, he won't pay taxes in Portugal, he'll pay a reduced rate in Spain. And if he was from his atelier in Portugal, when he's doing the drawings and preparing the things, he will be able to choose for the 20% thing. Of course, we have to move on for another slide to get to another benefit.
Yes, absolutely. I hope you have enjoyed this little chat with Don Joao. If you would like to know more about your personal situation, Don Joao offers exclusive 45-minute session to help you understand your needs and suggest a first solution. If you want access to Catapults, all the intelligence of finance hacking to build your personal wealth from your cash, it's a playbook available here. It describes the steps you need to take to lower your tax bill, invest your company's money, and get your money out of your company in the right conditions. Please refer to the two links below the video. Have a nice day. Bon dia. Ciao.